that's a good thing for that, because like I mentioned as well, about the fact that, you know, martial arts isn't just about defending your life, defending the life of your family or anything. It's a lesson for your life. It's a lesson to have that perfectly balanced and not have anything negative coming into your mind, to accept the you know, to destroy anything like your plans, your goals. Because I can remember one lesson in particular with yourself, Sensei, when we had a private lesson there. You taught me psychology. Never did I ever learn martial arts where I got to learn psychology itself, where you were telling me to, like, you were saying to me, keep your hand up like that. Now listen to my words, don't say anything. And you were like, first of all, here's the negative side of things. You can't do this, you can't do this. And then it was like, okay, then the arm went down. Now do it again. You can do this, you can stop this. And it was like, that's it. There you go, that's psychology. You taught me that. That was one of the lessons I carried for life because of you, Sensei.
I mean, you are what you repeatedly do and what you repeatedly think. And that particular exercise was an NLP exercise, or neuro-linguistic programming. After I left the Air Force, I ended up for a while teaching corporate training and things like that, personal development. And you know, I grabbed these tools from that environment. And again, it's a great thing to incorporate into the Aikido, the martial arts that I teach, because hopefully most of us will never end up in a fight. I mean, a physical fight with another human being. But every single one of us, at some point in our life, will go through a battle. And so let's prepare everyone for that battle. That's the important fight we need to win. And everybody, you know, not just the young, fit, and strong.
Definitely, because obviously, you know, everybody's fighting a battle right now as well, the unknown battle that is on the inside, like the whole, I can be my own worst enemy, I could be my own best friend sort of race that you're chasing, because every day we fight, we race, we go to somewhere, someone to become something, which is what we want to do in life, isn't it? For those who do not know what it is, can you please explain what is Aikido and how is it different from another martial art such as karate?
A very difficult question. There's no straightforward answer to this, because Aikido, like any other martial art, can be taught in very different ways. And you could go to one Wadaru karate school and train with them, then go to another one, as indeed I did. And the two are like two different martial arts, but they're still the same. And Aikido is the same. But basically, in Aikido, it's about grappling, locks, pins, holds, throws. It's about redirection of energy. It should be, if done technically correct, shouldn't require any kind of strength at all. It should be all body weight based. For example, Aikido comes from the way of the sword. And when you cut with a sword, you must be soft, you must be gentle, you must be focused. And if you will, those three things, the sword will cut like a razor blade. And we do use swords in Aikido, the Aikido that I teach. If you're heavy, if you're brutal with the sword, it doesn't cut so well. In fact, you might even damage it. And so even when we're not using a sword, it has to be the same. So for example, if I want to focus my energy, I have to have what we call a good line. So in other words, my whole body weight and mass is on the focus of where I want to execute my technique. So you could have someone that's really quite small, a young lady, for example, who will focus her whole body energy and mass on just my wrist joint. Now, I may be bigger and stronger than her, but the whole mass of her body is greater than the mass of my wrist. And this is how, when done properly, someone smaller and lighter can control someone much bigger than themselves. And that is quite unique. I've seen that in some forms of jiu-jitsu that I've practiced, especially in the United States. But essentially, that's the main difference with Aikido. Locks, pins, holds, throws.
Yeah, no, like I say, it's one of the most beautifully demonstrated and practiced martial arts I had ever seen. And like, having taken a few lessons in it myself, I can, you know, proudly say it is one of the best things I've ever learned. And you just can't wait to get back into it myself, really, realistically, Sensei. So when did thank you. So when did Shudokan Academy first open? How did you come up with the idea?
Well, I was working with a group called Men in Black, who were people that did corporate training, personal development, that kind of thing. But after leaving the Air Force, you know, I wanted to go back to my roots in martial arts. And I thought, yeah, I love the training. I love the practice. Wouldn't it be great if I could do this full time? and I kind of found a way. And then that's a saying that we have in the dojo. You find a way. There's always a way. You just have to find it. So back in 1999, we opened the Shudokan Black Belt Academy in Nottingham, Sherwood. It was a big risk. I jumped in with both feet. I burnt my bridges with other organizations. So I had no way out. There was only one way forward, and that was it. I had to go forward. There was no going backwards. I had bills to pay. I had a family to feed. I took on staff members. I had their wages to pay. And so failure was not an option. We just had to succeed. And we did. Over the period that the Shudokan Black Belt Academy has been open, we have touched the lives of just over 3,500 people. And some of those people, we've helped them change their lives in some pretty major ways. So, that's something I'm really, really pleased to be able to say we've done.
Definitely. That is absolutely brilliant, because obviously the change has to obviously come from within yourself as well. And like I say, Aikido is one of those martial arts that can teach you good on philosophy as well, isn't it? Because philosophy in martial arts is kind of similar to, like you mentioned, Bruce Lee. Bruce Lee wasn't just a martial artist; he was a great philosopher as well. At the same time, like his most famous quotes was "Be like water." I think everybody will always remember the "Be like water" quote.
Yeah, I do. And actually, Aikido is very similar. You have to be like water. You have to go with the flow.
In that one, you are throwing and flowing with people around at the same time, aren't you?
Well, you have to. Yeah. It's a beautiful martial art to practice. When you're a little bit more accomplished at it, you can go a little bit faster, a little bit harder. But it's all about circular movement. It's all about blending, flowing. But also, it's about two people working together as one. And when you get two people practicing at a good standard, it looks like one entity moving on the mat, and it really is quite amazing. And when you get in that headspace, it just feels so good.
It does, yeah. Because I can remember when you were when I was watching the classes before I started participating as well. It did look like, as you mentioned, two entities working together at one to accomplish the goal. And it did draw. I saw the whole class was just silent, just paying attention there. It's like they were absorbing every ounce of information that was being there, not just physically, but obviously verbally as well. Because, like I said, they were just drawn to the attraction of that. And that's the thing that makes people want to come back to learn more and more, not just about Aikido, but life itself.
Yeah. I mean, it's really important that when that is the emphasis. And people see Aikido and they look at it and they think, well, that's not real. That wouldn't work. And that's an interesting question, because when you say, does it work? Well, what do you mean? It depends what the practitioner is looking for. If they're looking for socialization, yeah, it works. If they're looking for advance or to increase their knowledge, yeah, that works. What they mean, of course, is, does it work in a fight? Well, the answer is it can do. Like any martial art can. It's just a tool set, and it can stack the odds in your favor. But the important thing in any kind of conflict, be it one-on-one or, God forbid, what's happening in Europe right now, it all comes down to the spirit and the heart, if you've got the will to win. And that is the single most important tool anybody can have that's engaged in any kind of conflict, be it against other people or internal conflict. You've got to win, you've got to persevere, you've got to come out on top, you've got to do whatever it takes. And that's what.
Yeah. You definitely do, as you mentioned as well, because like you say, any form of martial art can be useful in a fight. But as you mentioned beforehand, you hear people and you read people writing comments on social media, and they're always saying, "Oh, Aikido can't do anything. Me as a boxer, I could take this Aikido expert out and everything." I've read all sorts of things about that, and it's I admit it is quite it's quite disrespectful. Sorry.
The trouble is that they don't really understand what it is they're talking about, in the sense that if you're looking at a fight, a lot happens before this, a lot happens. And if you can recognize what's happening, if you can employ that psychology, if you can employ that positive body language, you know, that you can avoid the fight. And that's the best way to win a fight, without fighting. Nobody gets hurt. Nobody goes to court. Nobody ends up in prison. Nobody ends up in hospital. I can't think of a better way to win. So does Aikido work? Well, it can do. And I've used it very successfully to avoid conflict with other people.
Yeah, it's like that saying, isn't it? It's better to have it and not need it, and need it and not have it. Because there's always going to be a loudmouth someone's going to come across. But the thing about that loudmouth is, it's as the saying goes, the loudest one in the room is the weakest one in the room, because they've got something they need to prove, don't they? They need to prove their toughness or something like that. What they don't seem to realize is the one who's actually walking away, he's actually more tougher, because he knows that person knows what they can do, but they just choose not to announce it. And then obviously you got the loudmouth going, oh, you're this, you're that, you're this, you're a wimp, you're every offensive word under the sun. But then you just have to remember, is like, they're just barking. That's all it is. It's just bark, no bite.